Hey everyone, we made it. We're here. Hey everyone, welcome to the Brews Less Traveled podcast and beer club. I'm your craft beer loving host, Molly Lamb. We are back today in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are going to be drinking a delicious Helles lager called Country Kind of Silence from Resident Culture Brewing Company. And I am joined by my amazing co-host for the entire month of October. I feel so spoiled to have Mary Catherine back here again. MC, how are you? You want to say a quick hello?
Hey, Molly, I'm great. Thanks. Thanks for having me back. I'm really excited for another week of drinking awesome beer and interviewing some really impressive folks this week. Just some housekeeping to take care of real quick before we get into the good stuff. For those of you joining us on the live stream, definitely jump into the chat. We want to connect with you. And when you do that, make sure you select all panelists and attendees so that we can all read your messages and chat together.
Absolutely. We want to hear from you guys. And as always, we have some fun inclusions that all of our beer club members get. One of my personal favorites is something we always include, and is this awesome brewery map. I'm obsessed with maps. That's actually not a lie. I love looking at maps of any kind of city or anything anywhere. And this map tells you all of the amazing breweries in the Charlotte area, the ones that we are featuring, of course, and even the ones that we are not. So when you guys plan your trip to Charlotte, take this with you, please. And also, if you flip it over, of course, you have our schedule for the entire month. So you'll see who we're speaking with and also some fun facts about the city. I think that's super cool. So definitely take that with you when you plan your trip to Charlotte.
Yeah, and we have two really great guests tonight from the Charlotte Beer Garden. Bria Edmonds is their front of house manager, and Owen Ballard is their keg manager, AKA the beer guru. So this place has the most beer taps in the world, 436 to be exact. Absolutely wild. Yeah. Molly, I used to work at a restaurant that had 55 beers on tap, and it was overwhelming. So I'm so impressed by these folks already.
I worked at a place in college that had 18, and I had a very hard time remembering that. And I'm super excited to have it be kind of a woman's club tonight, and Owen's going to be a little outnumbered. I love that we have a very female-centric crew tonight. That's always just kind of fun and a little bit rare in the beer world. And, you know, I'm curious, speaking of tap list size, does that overwhelm you, everyone tuning in right now? Do you guys like a big, fast tap list, or do you like something small and a little bit more curated? Drop us a message in the chat. Let us know, like, if that excites you, because I know for me, it kind of excites me. I'm like, oh yes, a ton of beers on tap. And then I'm like, oh my God. Okay, Caleb saying more is better. Caleb, I agree, but I'm also like quality over quantity. And of course, that's what you want to look for. But yeah, lots of choices. Pat saying, I sometimes like a little bit of a smaller, like more curated tap list, but there is something so fun and so extravagant about going somewhere that has 436 taps.
Yeah, I mean, something really for everybody.
There's something for everyone. You can bring anyone, and then they'll find something that they like. Jonathan says, you like it, but yeah, the more there is, the harder it is to make a decision. Jonathan, yes. That was my main problem the entire time I was in Charlotte. When I was at the Charlotte Beer Garden, I was like, man, my life is tough. I don't know what beer to get. But they had an amazing selection. I can't wait to get a little bit deeper into it. Yeah, only if the taps are local. The cool thing, and we'll learn more about this, but yeah, the Charlotte Beer Garden, they have an entire floor dedicated to local beers. Super fun.
Yeah, Rob says that's why you do flights. I feel you, Rob.
Rob,
Molly, you like flights as well, right?
I do. I like flights, and I like just a small pour in general, and see what my taste buds marinate with, kind of how my taste buds feel after that. But yes, Rob, we should definitely go brewery hopping for sure. All right, Mary Catherine, do you want to go ahead and open this beer?
Yes, very much so.
Let's do it. We're opening the Country Kind of Silence Helles lager from Resident Culture Brewing Company. Trying to figure out this amazing artwork.
I was just looking at it too. It's an awesome can, and I love that it's black instead of silver.
Yep. And
isn't that interesting?
It looks like kind of like Shel Silverstein
Yeah. Yeah, definitely cool can art.
Oh my God, y'all, I have a bummer. My bottle got a little busted. I can't open it.
Oh no.
It got a little busted. I'm trying to open it. Hold on. I'm going to hand it to a friend of mine. See if he can. Mary Catherine, you want to do a nice perfect pour for us and show it in that beautiful glass?
I'm actually doing a bit of a slow pour here.
I love a slow pour.
I do too. This glass is perfect for it. It's like tall and like 20 ounces.
This is why you enlist good friends when you drink beer, because they can open it for you.
For a lot of reasons, but that's a good one too.
All right, guys, I'm going to use my awesome Bruvana mason jar, which is such a Southern thing. All right. Gorgeous golden color. Oh man, I love a Helles.
Yeah, nice, beautiful white foam on top.
That, you know, if an alien were to drop down to Earth and say, like, what is beer? I'd be like, this is beer.
Right here.
Cheers, guys.
Beautiful. Cheers.
Okay. That jumps out at me right away. Hey, Kite, good to see ya. I love seeing our reoccurring folks in the chat. Wow.
Yeah, nice and like effervescent.
Bready. So more about this beer. Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, you get that bready quality for sure. But a little bit more about this beer. So it clocks in at 4.75% ABV. So super crushable, nice and light. I would call this a kayak beer for sure. I love a 16-ounce kind of lower ABV. Right away, I'm getting this sort of prickly, zippy, rustic character. And it kind of perks up your taste buds. Right before, like what you said, MC, that sweet sort of bready note rounds everything out. There's a really beautiful malty backbone happening here, which is very common in a Helles, and I love that. The hops are definitely a little more restrained, as a good Helles should be, because I firmly believe that over hopping can really destroy a good Helles, in my opinion. It's a nice round lager, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's really well balanced. The hops are a little floral. I love a good floral hop.
What's everyone thinking about this beer? We got some good messages in the chat. Kathleen says she loves it. Kite says tasty. Yeah, really nice. You know, and this is just a super refreshing beer. And something about a Helles to me goes so well with food. I always say a Helles and an amber ale go great with food to me for some reason. Something about that sweeter malt character I think goes well with food, personally for me. Aaron says a nice clean Helles. Love that, Aaron. So true. It is very clean. It does feel crisp and clean and refreshing. Almost feels like you're hydrating yourself. I'm glad everyone is liking this beer. And, you know, while you guys kick back and relax a little bit, let's hear a few more fun facts about Charlotte. So Charlotte's current NBA team is called the Hornets. And actually the Charlotte cop cars have Hornets etched, like a little logo etched on the design of them. So they're obsessed with things that can sting you in Charlotte.
Yeah. So why is this community so infatuated with stinging insects, you might ask? So in 1780, British General Charles Cornwallis marched his men through the city, where they encountered a lot of resistance. He'd go on to call Charlotte a quote unquote hornet's nest of rebellion. Little did he realize the town would start to embrace his comment. So today, Charlotte's two main nicknames are the Queen City and the Hornet's Nest.
Love it. And who remembers our first Queen City? I know some of you out there in the chat have been tuning in since we started this live stream in June. What was our first city? And it was also called the Queen City. I'm very curious if anyone knows this.
I missed it.
I'm going to take another sip of beer while people guess. And also top myself off. Now that my can is open.
It's definitely easy to drink quickly.
Yeah, yikes. So The first city that we explored was Cincinnati on the Brews list. Yes, Jonathan, you got it. Sorry, I didn't give you long enough. Cincinnati is also known as the Queen City. So that is technically Queen of the West. It's before we figured out how west the country goes. So it's kind of like a fun little fact. But also, while you guys chill and relax a little bit longer and catch a nice vibe, I want to tell you a little bit more about Resident Culture. So they opened in 2017 with a really big appreciation and focus for assertive hop forward styles. And they were really striving to kind of accentuate that character and quality of what the farmers would actually harvest. So the concepts of subtlety and nuance are ever present in all of their beers, particularly with their lager beer. And their Cool Ship program is very telling of their attention to detail and its strong sense of place. And they actually transformed an old family warehouse into a space that contains the Cool Ship. And I had the best time at Resident Culture. They had great merch. I bought a shirt that said Kolsch on it. I always joke, I'm a Kolsch girl living in an IPA world. So I love that. It was like this cute little crop top and it said Kolsch on it. So I had to take that. And I got a nice tour of production. They had a great team there. They took me behind the scenes. I always love seeing where the magic happens. I tasted an Italian Pils. So, so good. I love a Pilsner. And they had this delicious mushroom fermented dark sour ale. It was intense. It was like super sour and it had this little bit of funk on the end from the mushrooms that they added during fermentation. It was so good. Have you ever had anything like that, Mary Catherine?
I can't say that I have. I had something from Fantôme years ago that was brewed with vegetables of some sort, but not mushrooms. That's so interesting. I wonder what like the mushroom Cool Ship combo tasted like.
I know, very interesting. I know, and I love that Kite in the chat is already saying that sounds interesting. I know, right? I mean, it was such a complex beer. It was like you kind of got this like sour right on the front, little funk, little sour. It was just layered and completely nuanced. It was a really, really delicious beer.
Was it a Cool Ship beer or was it kettle soured?
I'm not sure. I want to get more facts on that because it was so, so good. I loved it. And they had a really awesome hazy New England style IPA that was hopped with New Zealand hops. And I feel like that's kind of rare to get New Zealand hops in a hazy beer. I feel like normally they're not really using those. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, those are so good.
Yeah. They give it like a little bit more of like kind of a staunch character in the beer. It's like not as fruity, but it still gives it like a fruity zest to it, but it doesn't linger as much on the palate, I find, with New Zealand hops.
Yeah, I like that zippy like Sauvignon Blanc taste that it adds to beer sometimes.
Yeah, with the Nelson Sauvin hops. So good. So everyone, as always, feel free to ask our guests any questions that you want. We will make sure to get those right to Owen and right to Bria. Let's welcome on our guests this evening. They're from the Charlotte Beer Garden. Let's welcome on Bria Edmonds, front of house manager and keg manager, Owen Ballard. Welcome, folks.
Start it up.
Hi.
Awesome. You guys can hear us?
We can hear you. Yeah, you guys sound great. How's everything going? How's your day?
Oh, so far so good.
It's another Wednesday.
That's awesome. So we always love to start out asking your craft beer origin story. So Bria, can we start with you? How did you kind of get in the craft beer world?
So I was working at Tyler's in Durham. And it was the first place that I worked at that had more than like 5 or 10 taps. And then I was like, what's all this? This stuff is cool. But then I didn't even drink beer like that at the time. So it was like, okay, well, I'll start with this cider. And then they were like, no, you got to try hops. But as I was working there over time and kept learning about beer, I was like, wow, I really love this. And then I just kept going full steam from there.
I love that. And Owen, how about you?
I mean, kind of like everybody else, you know, you start drinking the awful domestic beer you can get your hand on when you're young. And then, you know, when you finally turn 21 and you go to a bar and you can like experiment different things, I was like, well, let me try something I didn't like. Found out I liked stuff that wasn't, you know, mass produced across the country. And then it just went from there. And then when I moved down to Charlotte, obviously this place is just crawling in craft beer. And it was kind of just a match made in heaven. I was just like, well, this is my interest in it was peaking. And I was right here when everything beer wise in the city was just skyrocketing. So it kind of just matched up perfect time.
I love that. I feel like you guys have such an authentic journey. It wasn't like, oh, I went to go do this crazy program. You're just like, I like beer. I like good beer. Charlotte has good beer. This place has good beer.
Mhm.
I love it. There's something so authentic about your story. And I heavily relate to that because everyone's like, Molly, how did you get into craft beer? I'm like, I like beer.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like, that's sort of the extent of it. And so, Owen, I know you and I got to hang out when I was in Charlotte. So it's, first of all, very good to see you again. And yeah. And I remember you telling me how much you had to learn about draft systems. That was one of my favorite classes that I took at San Diego State when I was getting certified in craft beer. I loved draft systems way more than I thought I would.
Right.
And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. Can you walk us through a little bit of a day and how your team cares for these 436 taps?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a lot. You know, each line is individual, so everyone has their own, line. They have their own tap, their own CO2 running through the keg, their own coupler. Everything is individualized, all in a mass quantity. So, day to day, it's maintaining that, making sure that the CO2 is properly poured, making sure everything's filed correctly, everything's still tight, and then also cleaning it. So we have a third party company that comes in and cleans them every couple of weeks often. But at the same time, every time a beer kicks, we're going to clean the line ourselves, just to make sure it's extra clean. So whether a beer is going back on or we're going to switch it out, obviously we're going to run some solution through it. And that's really a big part, to keeping it fresh.
Yeah.
On top of that, make sure the cooler's cold, all the basics, just in a much broader scale and a much bigger scale, obviously.
And are you guys typically doing like a caustic cleaning every 2 weeks, or what is the solution that you'll use? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know the exact solution that they use, but they'll come in and actually get in and clean out, the whole the front part of the tap, the actual coupler itself. When we run it through, we have a special chemical that they use in our sister company up in Raleigh, that we just add water to that, and it's obviously not, you can drink it if you must, but we're gonna make sure it runs through the whole time. That way the line's cleaned out, it gets all the residual hops or the fruit if it's a sour, stuff like that. Just make sure the line's clean, the coupler's clean, the everything about it's just clear. That way it just looks like it's brand new. That way whenever you put the new beer on, you're not getting cheated. You're not having anything leaked in the same thing. So far, knock on wood, it's been a success.
Absolutely. I think customers don't realize how important a clean draft line is, because I've heard of breweries actually going to tap rooms, getting mad at them and not letting them serve their beer anymore because they're like, you know what? You're not serving our beer in clean draft lines and it tastes bad and people think our beer is bad.
Exactly.
Our beer is not bad. It's just your draft lines aren't clean. So kudos to you guys for taking it so seriously. I think that's very, very important. And also, Owen, I'm just wondering, what is some of the most important things that your team needs to know about draft systems? Just kind of on the most basic level.
Most basic level, obviously, I mean, most important is just making sure that the CO2 and for the nitro taps is under control. It's at a safe level, because at the very top of the list, we need to be safe. Something starts leaking, one of them gets loose and there's too much gas in there, obviously it's a hazard. So that's by far number one and the most important thing. But other than that, I would say obviously, cleanliness is number two. We want to make sure, just like you said, everything's clean. That way the beer that we're purchasing is going out the way it's intended. And really, other than that, it's, organization skills, just making sure everything's, making sense, making sure the lines aren't pinched when you're dealing with, close to 200 lines in one cooler at a time. It gets really jumbled. It gets really, you can cross tangle lines, all that fun stuff. So it's just making sure you're just paying attention to the product, taking your time doing things, and making sure that the right line's going on the right beer and you're not getting things crisscrossed and pinched, because that can happen very easily. So it's just, doing your due diligence daily, I would say.
True.
Yeah, cool. Bria, you have a big job, big responsibility. The Charlotte Beer Garden has a capacity of 900. So I mean, tell us, like, as front of house manager, how do you begin to manage a space that large?
I think the one thing that's made me most successful is the relationships that I've built with the staff and knowing them. Because it's very easy in this place to, I don't want to say put the wrong person in the wrong place, but with the beer bars and then having the liquor as well, we have a lot of people that know how to talk beer and pour beer and all those fun things with beer, but they don't necessarily know how to pour liquor. So definitely putting aces in places is a giant factor in this place. And then teaching, really. Teaching them, how to talk to people about beer and what kind of language to use with the beer. And that definitely alleviates a lot of problems that we don't have to, go back and micromanage, so to speak. But it's kind of just having faith in the staff and just being there for them. That's one of the best things you can do in this place because things get crazy. And it's just taken in stride.
Yeah, totally. In my experience, the best manager is just a really good support person.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I try to be there for them the most, period. No matter what's happening, are you guys okay? And everything flows much smoother knowing that the staff is okay.
Cool. Yeah. And so the first level of the bar has completely local North Carolina beer. And the second level has 222 beers from out of state. So which level do you think is the most popular?
Probably depends on the day.
That's true.
Definitely depends on the day. Typically, our local beer section is more busy. But if we're talking like Friday, Saturday, it's usually the second floor, whether that's because of game day or whatever the case may be. Towards the weekend, they float more to the second floor or the roof.
That makes sense.
And I think honestly, it depends on, like she said, when it is. Noticed kind of last year during the pandemic, a lot of people really gravitated towards local because they wanted to support local. Whether the brewery wasn't open, the tap house wasn't open, they couldn't go to that brewery and get it, or they just thought supporting local. So we noticed that floor was a lot more popular during the pandemic, but now things are kind of back to normal. It's like she said, it depends who's in the building that day.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love that people really went towards local during the pandemic. And we do have a question in our chat from Aaron, and I love this question. How do you guys pick what beers to put on draft and how many taps? How do you pick it?
It's a combination of everything. We're really big. We usually use Untappd, the app, to see, if a beer is rated well across the public. That's really the best way to see how the public's going to react to it. Because if they're rating it high on the app, chances are they're going to like it here. It could be if it's, a rarity beer, because we have the most taps in the world. We also want the most wild and the most rare beers. So if it's something that's a one-off, they don't have a whole lot of, we're usually going to jump on that. Styles, making sure we're not overloading on styles. We don't want 100 different, hazy IPAs. We don't want 100 different, gozas, stuff like that. So just having a nice mix of stuff like that. And then at the end of the day, really what we like to drink. So if we see something that we personally like, we're going to grab it and we're just going to put it on there because, we're going to drink it. Even if they hate it, we're going to have at least a keg that we know we can drink. So
it'll get drunk.
Totally.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not going to have an issue with that. It's a perk.
So also, Owen, speaking of gozas and sour beers, you mentioned that y'all had a sourgasm party. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I know you said you guys don't have to host a ton of parties because the number of taps kind of brings people in, but y'all chose to do a sourgasm party, like all about sour beers. I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Yes, we like doing, obviously, because we have the space and the beer to do it. We just like doing different beer events, whether it's IPAs, Oktoberfest, ports and stouters, porters and stouts, stuff like that. But during summer, we really saw the sour program just flying through here, whether that's just the time of the year or just the clientele we had in, but all different kinds, whether it was, Berliner Weisses, Gozas, or the real thick fruited milkshake type sours, really, really thick guys. So we just said, let's have an event, let's sell tickets to it. And we did it up on our roof, and we had all 24 taps that are on our rooftop. We just switched to all different kinds of sours. So we had your wild ales from your gozes to all different kinds, all different flavors, all different fruits. And, we like the name Sourgasm just because it's punny. Like I said, I remember when we spoke, at the end of the day, we're in the beer industry. So if you're not having fun and laughing with it, what are you doing? So we love the name, and, we're trying to fuck up some people's taste buds, and I think it worked.
Absolutely. And honestly, the chat is blowing up right now. Everyone thinks this sounds amazing and super yummy. So I think y'all should do another Sourgasm party. And are you guys making any beer cocktails?
So I got a couple fun things coming up my sleeve, especially with the winter season coming. We got a couple things on the way. We do already have some. We have like a wheat mojito and our Irish sangria. We got cider in that one. So we do have a couple things now, but I do want to switch to more beer heavy than the liquor heavy. So and I just started in management here about 2 months ago. So I'm still, getting to some things that I really want to get done outside of what needs to be done. But yeah, those are on the way, promise.
Very cool. And I know, Owen, you mentioned that one of the biggest issues you have is space for the tap handles. That is something that we don't think about because, on the first floor, you guys have all the local beers. And then on the second floor, you have all the beers from outside of state, and it's like over 200. So do you notice that there's a big impact to what customers purchase based on a tap handle? For example, if it's one that shows a logo, or if it's just a plain tap handle that doesn't have anything, do you notice that has a sway in customer purchase?
Yeah, surprisingly, it's a big sway too.
Absolutely.
And we really took notice. We've only been open now for about 1.5 years. So we only had 16 days before COVID hit that we were open, and then we were closed down. And then when we reopened, we had a bunch of restrictions, and people had to stay at their tables, and they couldn't come up to the bar to order. So it wasn't a big deal then because they weren't walking up to the massive bar, the massive tap handles we had. But ever since things have been loosened a little bit, people can walk up to the bar. They honestly sometimes are just too lazy to look at the menu, and they just search for a tap handle they know, and they want that. So, with both of our bars, we're having so many taps. We have 4 rows of beer taps. So that really limits the space. As massive and as giant of a place that we have with all the space and all the bars we have, you only can put so much beer in so big of a space. So honestly, tap handles is a big issue we have. Really lucky with the people that we work with, locally, going out of their way, making custom tap handles for us, shortening them up, however they got to do it to get their product out there, because we do see a difference. And I think the breweries would admit that too. If somebody goes and they see, a tap handle that they're familiar with, they're probably going to jump towards that first, as opposed to something that they have no idea about.
Absolutely. I always say that's a menu without you having to print it. And I'm curious, what do you do with any unique tap handles after the beer kicks? I'm thinking this could be a fun inclusion for our beer club members.
There you go. Honestly, it depends on the brewery. Some of them want them back, obviously, for reuse or obviously different, whatever they need to use them for. But we have a hefty stash of tap handles left over from beers that are no longer on, or maybe in the future, or just some that plain don't fit, because we'll get a special tap handle that is large and doesn't fit on the wall that we have. So we have a nice, pretty good stash still.
That's cool.
For better or for worse.
And sometimes we get lucky enough for them to send us like a handle where we can just change the sticker on it.
That's nice.
So we don't have to, switch them out, try and fight with them or anything like that.
Yeah, those are nice. So Molly had mentioned that you guys have amazing craft beer, obviously, but you also sell Miller Lite. Yeah. So can you tell us what that's all about?
Well, when game days come, because we're right here from the stadium, like 5 minutes walking distance. And I think we all have that moment when it's crush time, it is crush time. Totally. So it's typically Monday through Thursday, but like barely gets sold. Miller Lite barely gets sold. But it's those heavy weekend game days that it flies. And I don't think it's because they don't want to drink the craft beer. I think they just want to stay as level as possible. And not have 3-4 beers and then realize they're super out of their mind. But they know if they drink that Bud Light, Miller Lite, it's a fair ABV and they'll be okay.
Yeah, and Molly, like when we were speaking last week, I said, we have a little bit of everything for everyone. We have the most beers and the random beers and all these different types, but we have a full liquor bar. So if somebody wants to get a cocktail, they can do that. We have wine, we have sodas, we have all this fun stuff. And along with that, you need your domestics, because like she said, some people aren't coming in to try something new. Some people are just coming to have, 2 or 12 after work.
Honestly, Guy in the chat says light is his go-to yard work brew. Hey, you know what, Guy? We're not judging you. I'm not judging you. Listen, I'm just kidding. No, I get it. That's totally fine. I mean, honestly, my oldest brother, Tyler, he is a Bud Light drinker. And, I'm like, okay, I get that. Where can we go hang out?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like somewhere where it's like, I can get my peanut butter porter thing, and then you can have like a light domestic beer, and then my mom can drink wine, and then my dad wants like a bourbon Coke, so it's like you guys like that actually is a very cool vibe you're curating.
Yeah. Super welcoming.
It's very inclusive.
We like to nickname it Beer Disney.
That's great.
It is. It's Disney World. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. How many taps for ciders and seltzers? We have a question.
Currently probably about 30, 35 right now on both floors combined. Obviously during summer, it's going to be a lot more than winter. Ciders really sell, obviously, when the hotter it is. Our rooftop is half covered, half not covered. So, we are in North Carolina. We do get a southern summer. So it does get hotter. So not everybody wants to drink an IPA when it's 97 degrees out. And obviously, as everyone knows, like the seltzer game has just flown off the highway the last year and a half. So everybody and their mother's making a seltzer. So, that goes along with the Bud Light and the Michelob. Somebody's going to want to drink a seltzer as well. So right now it's about 30 to 35-ish, but it goes anywhere from 20 to 40. We had a cider takeover in the summer. Our friends from Asheville and Noble Cidery sent us a bunch of rare ciders, and we put like 10 or 12 on the rooftop that nobody else had, and enjoyed that for like a nice weekend too. So
that's awesome. And you guys are just such a vital point of the Charlotte beer scene. I'm curious, what is your ideal day off in Charlotte? Bria, can we start with you?
If I could have a choice, it'd be like Tuesday and Saturday, just because the breweries are open on Tuesday. Because most of the breweries are here. I mean, I don't know if that's everywhere, but closed for production and brewing and all that stuff on Monday. So between Tuesday and, just because if I'm off, I get to take care of my things and don't have to worry about time really. And then Saturday, I'm just ready to have some fun,
Bria, that is such a service person answer to say. Tuesday. My favorite day off would be Tuesday. Not like I would go do 100 things.
I love that.
Tuesday.
Oh my God.
So funny.
And then there's a couple bars around here that do like an industry night or like half price full bar. Sign me up. That's where I live.
Definitely.
That's funny. I didn't think about it that way, but now that she said it that way, if it's a weekday, just taking yourself. But if it's a weekend, honestly, just I enjoy trying things I haven't tried and going places I haven't gone. And whether it's beer or it's not beer, there's so much to do in the city of Charlotte, and they're putting up something, 10 new spots every week. So I like trying out new spots, exploring parts of town I haven't explored, places I haven't been in a while. Obviously, trying beer that I haven't tried either too. So it's, we hate saying, nobody wants to go to work on their day off, but it's really hard not to, because we have so many good stuff that I really want to try. So we try to stay away from here on our days off as much as we can, but usually at one point you got to stop in, just because you're like, there's one or two that I just need to have before they kick it over the weekend. I don't get a chance to.
I totally get it.
Totally.
So great answers. I love it. Charlotte, there is so much to do there. So guys, as we wrap up here, it is time for our rapid fire questions.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
We change these up every single month. So folks in the chat, you can feel free to play along as always. Your job, Bria and Owen, is to not think, just answer. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Kettle sours or wild sours?
Kettle.
Okay.
Okay. Favorite type of beer glass?
A boot.
Said that.
The biggest one available.
Exactly.
Great. Bria?
I like the 10 ounce. I don't know. I like the 10 ounce.
Totally.
I love a smaller pour.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it.
I see you. Marzens or pumpkin ales?
Mars and
Pumpkin ale, but I like a pumpkin ale with cinnamon sugar rim around it because I'm a sweet tooth guy, so that adds that extra little kick to it.
Well, there's a beer you guys serve that has that, right?
I mean, we could do that with anything really. Since no beer really officially comes with it, we don't really want to favorite one over the other and put, a cinnamon rim on one of them. But I mean, if guests wants, if I come in and ask for it, they can make it happen.
I feel like that should be a little inspiration for Bria's beer cocktails.
Absolutely.
I said I got some things on my sleeve. That might be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make a trip down there. You're really not revealing your secrets, are you?
We may or may not
See?
have
Road
All
trip?
Fest coming
Yes.
on November 6th. From 11 to 2 that you might be able to pop up for.
We might, Molly. We might be able to pop up.
What do y'all love about kettle sours? I'm just curious. I know this is supposed to be rapid fire, but I got intensified on it.
Me personally, I think because I can have a few of them. The wild ales, they are super different, super fragrancy, but they're also very super tart. They're gonna really mess you up,
Tart, they are funky. Yeah, they're intense. It's like they're delicious because I love wild sours, but sometimes I'm like a palate destroyer. Like sometimes I'm like, whoa, this just knocked me out.
Exactly. So, I mean, I love those, like you said, but when you work someplace that has a bunch, I'm usually trying to try more than one. So
yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Cool. Just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay. Beer flight or small pour?
Beer flight.
Small pour.
Ooh.
Bria, you are like, I love it. Yeah, I'm like, give me.
I like to enjoy it. Like sometimes it's just not enough,
I mean, I poured myself a flight for this as well. So I mean,
what do you have in there? What were those?
A little bit of everything. Had some a double IPA from Resident Culture. I had a sour from Heist, another sour from Divine Barrel, and a pale ale from Resident Culture. So I know all places that you checked out last week when you were here. So I tried.
Oh, I love it. I know. I forgot to ask you guys what y'all were drinking earlier.
So, it's not there anymore. So
it's gone. They're just now empty glasses. I love that. 12-pack or 6-pack, or sorry, 12-ounce 6-pack or 16-ounce 4-pack?
12-ounce 6-pack.
I'd say 16-ounce 4-pack.
Yeah, I am on this.
Yeah, sounds like Bria, Molly, and I are gonna need a little drinking session together.
Yes, absolutely.
Once again, I'm outnumbered.
Yeah,
and I'm also curious. This is like a question I'm wondering because I really want to encourage breweries to do this. If they had little like flight packs, would y'all buy them? Like if breweries sold little like 5-ounce, 6-ounce pours, maybe it's all the same style, or maybe it's just like a little like mismatched, like
for sure.
I want breweries to do that so bad. I'm like, please sell me like just a 4-pack of like little 5-ounce pours. Like
absolutely.
That's
really me a lot. You can charge me a lot. In my fridge because I want to just taste stuff at the end of the day.
Right.
Or if I have a friend over, I'm like, can I taste you some beer?
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's a 16-ounce beer.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like, so, okay.
They just want to call and invest in kegerators.
That's all it is.
I'm just trying to start a little revolution over here. Y'all don't mind me. So yeah, y'all
let us know when the first meeting is. We'll join that. We'll join the group.
Yes. We're going to get a petition. It's going to be like a whole thing.
Yeah. We'll start a revolution.
Right. Bria and Owen, it has been a pleasure having you. Is there anything you guys want to plug? What's y'all's Instagram?
Do you like our personal Instagram?
Whatever you want to give.
My Instagram is 2_ naturally Brie.
Mine's a lot more boring, so I'll plug the restaurants. It's just CLT Beer Garden. Look that up. She's actually the one that runs that as well. She's doing a kick-ass job. So got a lot of fun events coming up. We're really planning a lot of stuff for the fall. We have a ton of space. We're really using that to our advantage. We have she said a fall fest, which we're going to have all October, and pumpkin beers coming on. We're having a drag brunch on a Sunday morning, so we'll have that. We have literally football weekends. We have trivia on Wednesdays. So we're really trying to knock events out of the park. We're starting a comedy show on certain days.
I got a whole lot going on over here. So
Halloween,
we'll be having a Winterfest that comes around soon. Keep an eye out for that. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. So follow that Instagram. You'll want to see it.
That is awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Thank you to my wonderful co-host, Mary Catherine, and my two amazing guests, Owen and Bria. You guys were so interesting and phenomenal. Thank you guys for coming on. We are going to continue to explore Charlotte next week as we visit Divine Barrel. It was divine indeed. This place was one of the most chill breweries I've been to recently. I really appreciated the relaxing vibe that was going on there. We're going to be tasting their pleasantly plum fruited Berliner Weiss. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Thanks,
Thank you so much for coming. This was so fun. Yeah. Bria, Owen, you guys were absolutely awesome. We got some messages in the chat. People are, I told everyone to eat y'all's poutine. I had it. It was so good.
Yeah,
poutine is y'all's was really good. It was like thick cuts of like pork.
Yeah, it's hefty, it's hearty, and it's delicious.
It's a northerner thing. If you're from up north, you know what it's supposed to taste like.
Yes, absolutely. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to our amazing audience that also tunes in and asks questions to you guys and everything. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, Mary Catherine. I'll see you next Wednesday.
See you guys.